Hey guys, it's Enigma Hood, and today I'm doing a review of the Street Fighter X Tekken Arcade Fight Stick vs. Edition. Now, I have to confess, I am by no means a fighting games expert, nor an expert at fighting sticks. In fact, this is the first one I ever got. I got this on an impulse. It just looked beautiful, and as you can see, and you admire its subtle curves and sharp edges, it is very, very beautiful. It's also very, very expensive. I'll put a link to the to where you can buy it on Amazon. I bought this for $200. I literally just splurged. I was like, you know what, fuck it. If I'm gonna get an arcade stick, I'm gonna go all out. But this review is not going to be focused primarily on fighting games. I'm going to do a little bit of fighting games. I even have Street Fighter X Tekken up on my PlayStation 3. This is the PlayStation 3 version, obviously, but this will work on your PC, so you can hook it up to your PC and play games on it. So I'm going to be showing you some arcade games, some shooters, and some platformers, and tell you, how it plays with those. Let's see, what else? What other features should I talk about? Well, the joystick itself. I have to emphasize that this is not an analog joystick. It's not like this. This is an analog joystick. This is a digital joystick, and you can hear the clickiness. See, that's a digital joystick. So as you can see, there's a switch up here, right here, and you can set it to map the joystick to either the left analog stick on the PlayStation 3, the D-pad, or the right analog stick. But even if you map it to the left analog stick or the right analog stick, it's not going to suddenly become an analog joystick. This is still going to remain as a digital joystick. So don't use this for playing any kind of game that requires analog controls, like Devil May Cry or something like that. It's just not going to work well. Okay, the start and select buttons on the top here. Start and select, so they're out of the way. And it has this beautiful glossy finish. It's going to kind of, get messed up when your palms are sweating and stuff like that, but it's easy to clean. Right now I have Ghouls and Ghosts on, and I want to talk about, how good is this joystick when it comes to non-fighting games as well as fighting games. I'll talk a little bit about fighting games, but this is one hell of a stick. It is huge. It's not going anywhere. This thing is secured to your table with its rubber feet, and it weighs quite a bit as well. So it's very solid. It has incredible build quality. This is the PS3 version. You can hook this up to your PC. And right now it's hooked up to the PC. I'm going to hook it up to the PS3 later and show you some games on that. So let's just check out Ghouls and Ghosts a little bit. So how does this control with Ghouls and Ghosts? Well, it controls okay. This is probably originally how the arcade game was like. It was played with a joystick. The thing is, though, is that I really think that the gamepad is better for a game like this, because this game already has kind of finicky controls, and sometimes when you are trying to get to tight spots, like when you're trying to climb a ladder and then you're trying to get off of it by pushing left or right, if you're not all the way at the top like that and you push left or right, he won't move. As you can see, I was stuck there. See, I'm like over here. Sometimes you're in a rush. You're in a rush, and sometimes you'll be crouching or something, and then you push left or right, and he won't move in those directions. See, I'm trying to push right real quick. I was facing this direction. I was trying to push to the right. See, if I'm crouching and I try to turn that direction, he won't turn. So because of that, those kinds of problems, even though it's intrinsic with the game, you don't get as much of a problem if you're using a gamepad instead, because if you're pushing down, you can easily just take off your thumb off of the D-pad and push to the correct direction. With this, it's not as intuitive or easy to do. See, I'm trying to push to the right, he won't go that way. I'm killing enemies this direction. Oh, there's enemies coming to the right. I go to the right, he doesn't respond as quickly. So unfortunately, this joystick's not that good for a game like Ghouls and Ghosts. I recommend a gamepad. Okay, so now this is Mutation Nation, and unlike Ghouls and Ghosts, it doesn't suffer from the same kind of control issues as that game. So actually, this controller is really, really good for this game and beat 'em ups in general. I mean, no matter what, like, you don't need as much precise control with the joystick. You just need to maneuver into whatever position you want to be in, and it's not finicky about it like Ghouls and Ghosts is, you know. So, and it gives you that arcade feel. It feels like you're at the arcade when you're using this joystick. It's so awesome to use it for this kind of a game, you know. And then you're just pummeling enemies left and right, pulling off all the moves that you need to, except you have that arcade feel. So if you want to use this joystick for beat-em-up games, this should work just fine for all of them, including Final Fight and Streets of Rage, and of course this game, Mutation Nation. So this is Contra, and similar to Ghouls and Ghosts, even though the control is not as finicky, this game really needs precise control. More precise control than you can get with a joystick. Really, the gamepad is the best way to go for this kind of game. See, it's just, like, it's not bad, but like right there I wanted to jump down, but he wasn't jumping down. Instead, he jumped up instead. It's like, well, what the fuck? Unfortunately, you know, you kind of get those kinds of problems with a joystick, an arcade joystick. It's just not as... See, right there I tried to duck, but he was moving forward just a little bit. Just those small little errors can make a big-ass difference in the later levels where it's so punishingly hard, where you can't make a fucking mistake at all. You just can't. See, right here, I'm having more trouble than I should. You know, I'm just... Let's see, right there, you know, like, I wouldn't have made that kind of mistake with the gamepad. So unfortunately, the joystick's just not that great for Contra, this kind of game. Platformers in general, you know, I have to say, this joystick's not that good. But let's check out another platformer. So now this game is Willow, and the joystick's actually pretty good for this. This one doesn't have as much finicky controls, and there's more room for messing up and stuff like that. So it's not as unforgiving as some of the arcade games, but I mean, when you think about it, you know, you're probably still better off just using a gamepad, unless you just want that authentic arcade feel. This was a Neo Geo game, which originally played with a joystick, an arcade joystick. So if you want an authentic experience, then yeah, I guess you could use this for that. Okay, here's another game. Magician Lord, another platformer. This was originally on the Neo Geo, so I know it used a joystick. But just like Ghouls and Ghosts, again, the control is just not as precise with a joystick, in my opinion. You know, you see right there, like, I just feel like the joystick isn't as precise, and I would like to have that precision. So this is R-Type. When I was a kid, I played this religiously at my friend's house on his Sega Master System, and I love this game. I still can't beat it to this day without using save states because it's so damn hard. But with the arcade joystick, is it better or is it worse than a gamepad? Well, this is an arcade game, so it was originally played, probably, I'm assuming, with a joystick, with an arcade joystick. Unfortunately, it's just not as precise with an arcade stick. I found that games that, shooters, shmups, that have environmental hazards. So as you can see, this game has tons of environmental hazards. Right now there's jack shit, it's just the floor, but it gets hectic later on. Any R-Type fan knows this well. And playing with an arcade joystick, it's not as easy to maneuver in those cramped confines, in those environmental areas. So now this is a game that's more in tune with being conducive towards being played with a joystick. It's called Arrow Fighter. Now, unlike R-Type, or let's say Polestar, or I think it's called Pulsar, or Gradius for that matter, Arrow Fighter does not have any environmental hazards. It's all from the top-down perspective. So all you have to do is just dodge bullets and not maneuver through an environment. And because of that, it's far better when played with a joystick than R-Type is. So if you prefer a joystick, playing a shoot 'em up with a joystick, then I would recommend a game like this, something that's top-down or that doesn't have any environmental hazards. Usually the top-down shmups don't have the environmental hazards. And of course this one also, you can enable rapid fire instead of just constantly tapping on the button. And it works just fine. So this is Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. And, you know, it's a matter of personal preference, really. Some people swear by the joystick. Other people, you know, they didn't grow up in the arcades. I didn't grow up in the arcades, so I had to go through a steep learning curve to actually learn how to play with a joystick. Of course, the recommended way is to... Oh man, this guy is fucking insane. Okay, there we go. The recommended way to play is to have your index and middle finger wrapped around it like that. Keep these two tucked in, and the thumb is on top. Pulling off, oh man, Shoryukens, or Shroyukens, however you pronounce it, is really tough. See, I managed to pull it off there, but you have to do like a Z motion, and that's really hard to pull off if you're not used to it. Luckily, I'm getting kind of the hang of it, but still I'm not very good by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, so now I'm going to test out my arcade joystick with Street Fighter Cross Tekken, the game that this controller was actually designed for. And let's see how it is. Now, I'm far from being a good player, so I mean, excuse the amateurish gameplay, but I can safely say that the joystick, you know, it takes a lot of getting used to if you're not used to a joystick. But once you know what you're doing, you can pull off the moves pretty easily. The good thing about Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter Cross Tekken is you can actually do a shortcut to pull off a Shoryuken. All you have to do is just hold down and then toward twice, and then he'll do it. See, just like that. Down, toward twice, forward twice. Down, forward twice, and he'll pull it up. There you go, just like that. Of course, he kicks my ass right there. I find that holding the joystick in the way that I'm holding it it's easier to pull off quarter circles. See right there, I'm trying to pull off my... Okay, there we go. I get a little nervous in the heat of battle. But yeah, it works pretty well. The controller works pretty well for the game that it's designed for. I also tested it out with Street Fighter 4, and it works perfectly fine with that as well. Just pull off my Shoryuken. This uses a square gate. Most arcade joystick fans will know what that means. It's not an octagonal gate. I know some fighting game fans prefer the octagonal gate. I do not know how to mod for shit. I don't know how to mod anything. If I try to mod this, I'm sure I would destroy it, so I'm not going to. Oh man, he swapped out. There. Eat it. Now eat my Hadokens. Oh man, I wasn't able to pull it off there. I hate it when that happens. I'm not that good. Takes some getting used to, I guess. Let me just spam them and see what my success rate of pulling off Hadokens is. I can't use it there now. So pretty good. I mean, oh see, I tried to pull off there and I'm doing punches instead. What the fuck is that? So I need to work on my timing, I guess. See, sometimes I'll push the button before I pull off a correct Hadoken with the joystick. So I'm still able to win. So in conclusion, what do I want to say about this joystick? Well, I do want to recommend that you don't get this if you're expecting that this will play well with like arcade platformers. Obviously, no one in their right mind is going to get this for that. I'm assuming most people are going to get this for fighting games. And for the most part, I think that this is a pretty good investment. It's huge. I don't recommend using this on your lap. this is something that you want to put on a table and has rubber feet so it doesn't move around, and it's not going to move around at all. It's great for that. The joystick itself, I mean, sometimes it feels like it's dropping the inputs, depending on, you know, how I push it. That might just be me. I don't know. I don't know what kind of parts this uses. I'm not an expert at this. I do know that there's a tournament edition Mad Catz controller that uses Sanwa parts, and I heard that that's like the arcade standard or some shit. I don't know if this uses that, but I do know that you can mod this quite easily, and you know, these screws, you can remove them if you want, and mod to your desire if you know what you're doing, which of course I don't. So that's basically it. I hope this was informative. Thanks for watching.